What is meditation? It's something you hear everyone talk about. I don't think there's anyone in the world you could say meditation to, and they would act like they didn't know what you were talking about. However, how many people actually understand what that technology is? And it is a technology. I would hazard to say not that many. So what I want to do in this video is just be real precise and real clear, and to the best of my understanding, tell you what it is. I've spent 20 years, 25 years at this point, studying meditation and a lot of related techniques. I've learned it in India. I've been up to the Himalayas to learn it from gurus. I've studied it with Buddhists. I've studied Christian forms of meditation, like with the Orthodox Church. I've studied secular forms of meditation. I've used neurofeedback devices to study what the brain does under meditation. I've read a lot of scientific studies about meditation, and I've been at it for a long time. So I'm certainly not going to claim any special status or anything like that, but I have a fair understanding of what it is just because it's something that I've done for a long time. It's something that anyone can do anyone can get to the highest levels of, I believe, if they put the time and effort in. And I think that everyone should. I think if there's one thing that would make this world truly a better place, it's if people really learn to meditate, and not just learned how to do it, but were consistent with it. So let me start with this. What is meditation for? Meditation is for controlling and developing the human mind. In general, that means training the mind to have single-pointed focus, to focus on exactly one thing at a time for long periods of time. Once that ability is developed, there are more advanced techniques, but the more advanced techniques generally are about using that focus to focus on specific things, sometimes in sequence, to produce certain effects within the mind. But in general, I think we can pretty much make a blanket definition of meditation across all different styles, cultures, and forms, and say that it's about training the mind to have single-pointed focus. With that said, I don't actually think there's anything that inherently, quote-unquote, spiritual about meditation. I don't think that it's a religious thing, although a lot of religions incorporate meditation or even make meditation the basis of their religion, for instance, Buddhism. However, I truly see meditation as essentially a mechanical process. What I mean by that is that meditation is a system of brain training, even down to the physical level, as MRI scans of long-term meditators have proved. It's a system of training the mind, training the brain, just like going to the gym and doing exercise is a system for training the body. And I think that's the best way to look at it. The most simple, straightforward. You go to the gym to train your body, you meditate to train your mind. You have to do them every day or you lose your gains. Of course, you can lose your gains, but you can get them back faster once you pick it up again. But in general, you just keep at it, you keep going. And that's really it. I hope that's a definition that everyone can just get and benefit from. It's the same as going to the gym for your body. It's the gym for your mind. Specifically, the mind becomes strengthened, the mind gains ability, the mind gains focus, discipline, purpose, power through attaining single-pointed consciousness. And once you can do that, you can do pretty much anything else in life. Meditation is, in a sense, the master key of life. Because if you really think about it, everything that you do in life, including, by the way, physical exercise, everything that you do in life is dependent on your quality of focus, how much you can focus on it. I don't think that's a controversial statement. So if you train the faculty of focus itself, you are consequently training your ability to do basically everything else that life demands of you, whether it's success in a career, being present in a relationship, your focus on creative efforts, your focus on your own self-care, whatever it is that you do, whether you're building, whether you're doing literal rocket science or just trying to keep your cool in traffic, meditation will assist with. It also has been shown to accelerate human maturation. Meditation is the one skill, the one thing that you can practice far and above, by the way, even therapy, that will not only accelerate your maturation as a human being, but almost allow you to skip levels. It's not a be-all, end-all cure, but it's about the closest thing we have. So with that said, what is meditation not? Now, I don't want to knock any specific meditation style. I am not a purist. I don't believe that, you often see people arguing whether their style is the best or things like that. My opinion is it's all good. Anything that you can do to meditate, to begin the process of meditating, to just get into the groove is good. Okay? And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, is yoga better than Buddhist meditation or something like that? That's a dead end, and I think that people waste a lot of time having those arguments. The bottom line is practice, 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 keep at it. Yes, there are different techniques, but it's kind of like saying, oh, it's kind of like if someone was to say, like cardio, it's better to run on a treadmill than to do the elliptical machine at the gym. But then they stay there arguing like that for months and never actually going to the gym. That would just be ridiculous, right? The point is to get to the gym. That said, there are a lot of things that, since our culture is now rediscovering meditation or kind of absorbing it in a mass way for the first time, there are a few things that are more on the popular side of things that I still think are good, that I still think are great to get people started. But I want to make a distinction between them and the core practice. And that would be, for instance, like apps with guided meditations in them, like for instance Headspace, or I even do guided meditation sometimes with music in them. Those are great. They're great for their own purpose. They're excellent for getting people into a groove, into the zone, kind of holding their hand and leading them to a place that's closer to the actual practice. But in and of themselves, including the ones that I do, in and of themselves, those are not the core practice of meditation. The core practice of meditation is, again, training yourself to have single-pointed focus in silence for long periods of time over an extended time frame. It's single-pointed focus. So yes, you can listen to an audio meditation to feel calmer, to feel less stressed, to get into a certain state of consciousness, and that's great, but these are pretty much preliminaries. These are kind of like previews of what happens when you take the reins yourself and start training yourself into single-pointed focus. At that point, you have no need for guided meditations. That said, I make my own guided meditations. They're great. They're great to get going. The other thing is the corporate mindfulness trend. You hear a lot, the word mindfulness thrown around as a buzzword a lot now. You see it in in yoga magazines, you see it in mainstream magazines, you see it everywhere, right? And it's become a big deal in the corporate world as well. People love the idea of mindfulness, and generally what they're talking about there is like something that will help them focus at work, that will help them be, less stressed, that will help them kind of like patch over the inherent stress of life under late capitalism, which they didn't create and they're not going to be able to make go away just by wishing it away. There is a real mindfulness. The actual name for it in Pali is Vipassana, and in a sense it is Buddhism. But what real mindfulness is, which by the way you can learn by studying some of the actual Vipassana traditions, like the one from S.N. Goenka or others, or even just going back and reading the original discourses of the Buddha, which I always recommend. What real mindfulness is body awareness. It's sitting for long periods of time and meditating on the sensations of the body after you have already attained the faculty of single-pointed consciousness. In the same way that you often hear about Kundalini yoga, broadly speaking, or Kriya yoga, which is the real way of saying it. Kriya yoga, which can be studied under actual gurus like Self-Realization Fellowship is a good place to go, Yogananda. Kriya yoga is essentially meditating on the energetic centers of the body, bit one after another with single-pointed focus. Again, these are more advanced techniques. These are techniques that come after the core faculty of single-pointed focus is developed, but the core thing is single-pointed focus. But that's real mindfulness, body awareness over long periods of time. And there's a lot of other stuff around that. You have to go learn that from the source. Mindfulness, as it's taught in our culture, is kind of like, it could mean anything, and often does. It often means just like be mindful of your work. Be mindful of these spreadsheets you have to work on. And it's just kind of meaningless. It's just a buzzword. Now, again, like I said at the beginning of this video, everything is good in my way of thinking. We live in a very troubled, tumultuous world. Anything that pushes people in the direction of inward seeking or self-awareness or spirituality is good. Okay, so I'm not knocking this stuff. It's a good first step, and when you compare that to the rest of the stuff that people could get in trouble with in the world, it's all A plus good. All that I want to point out is there are specific traditions of meditation with specific meanings that are not the pop culture version of it. It's fine to start with the pop culture version if you get a lot of benefit out of more popular mindfulness things, if you get benefit out of apps like Headspace, if you get benefit out of guided meditations with Enya music and things like that, that's great. I'm all for that. But I'm here in this video to tell you there is a core tradition to move on to. And in my experience, at least, the best traditions of meditation are Raja Yoga from India and Vipassana from Buddhism, right? Technically also from India. It all comes from India originally, actually Northeast India. It all comes from a specific time and place, and it traveled, by the way, all of yoga originally created in India, which is where all this came from, traveled along the Silk Road throughout Asia and became other related traditions like Zen in Japan and things like that. So pretty much any type of meditation you've heard of comes from that original tradition, which goes back to India. No one, anyone who claims otherwise is, taking credit for something they didn't create. As far as I'm concerned, all meditation styles go back to India a long, long time ago. They have been stable for a long time. They're not changing. They've been working for people for thousands of years. They work for people now. They will work for you as long as you get the correct techniques and you apply yourself correctly. I teach a lot of these techniques at magic.me. I have a great course called Hardcore Meditation. I teach these techniques in other courses called The Adept Initiative and The Alchemy of Chaos. And they underlie everything else I have at that online school. It's magic.me, magick.me, but you don't need to get it from me. In fact, there's lots of great traditions that I even recommend in those courses to go to. Those would include places like Self-Realization Fellowship, Yogananda, Kriya Yoga, the various Kriya lineages, Vipassana. I like the SN Goenka lineage. I'm not endorsing any specifically because I'm not a member of any of these groups, but I've learned great stuff from them. But there's tons of stuff out there to investigate in terms of the original forms of meditation from India, and I encourage you to. I don't think there's anything else you can do in life that will benefit you quite so much. All right, I'll see you in class.